Viewers of the channel, welcome back. Today we're going to do a video in which I'm going to provide a guide and a tutorial for Realpolitiks II. If you have been following my channel, you already know that I have several videos in which I have made let's play and playthroughs about Realpolitiks in regard of the different instances that already exist up to this date. The one present here is Realpolitiks II. So let's begin the tutorial. Beginning, when you select your country, as you can see, the country that I have selected here is Brazil, but we are in a zoom in situation here. The first thing that you're going to be presented with is with the selection of your right hand. You have different options here, from this woman that is the default one, down to things such as the taxman, and you can see also different types of very interesting characters here. This is Colonel Sarcastro. We have Diego Ramadona, that comes from Diego Maradona. We have as well the interesting cognitional universal personality, things such as Clippy, and for those that like to think about conspiracy theories, we have Kirkesh Ukiazu, which is a reptilian. You can also select a dog in here. Whoever you choose to be your actual right hand is going to give certain effects, and those effects are going to be shown down here. As you can see, for example, the dog over here is going to give a decrease in AP income, is going to give a minus 5% in target unhappiness, is going to do relations with everyone +10, and an HDI of +5. For some reason, if you select, for example, Diego Ramadona, you're going to have action success chance in military access +10%. You're going to get unit attack +4. You are going to get as well an AP income of +10%, and you're going to get target unhappiness +5%. In this case, for the tutorial, we're going to select Irene Nemitz. You're going to see a description here that is going to be just for flavor, and then you're going to see the effects here that are going to be applied to your nation. Then you're going to be presented with the Path of Glory event window. The Path of Glory event window is always the same. Then you're going to be presented with different victory details that you are going to be able to see here. I will recommend before starting to pause the game. You can pause it by pressing spacebar as always. That is the key binding for the pause in the grand strategy genre. So what do we see here? We see the top bar over here. We see notifications that we can collapse and expand as we desire. We see here the date and the speed of the time. If we see here, we can click here and we're going to see the Realpolitiks II menu. Down here we see the map, and over here we have the management window. The management window you can collapse and expand. Let's begin with everything that we see up in the top bar. In the top bar we can see the name of the country. If you click here, you're going to be presented with different options that we're going to talk about further in this video. You can see over here the score. If you have played Crusader Kings, especially Crusader Kings II, you may be familiar with things such as score. If this is your first time in a grand strategy, then the score is pretty much a number that the game is going to assess in comparison with other countries, and at the end of the time, which is 100 years over here, when the time reaches 2121, which is the limit date, then you're going to be presented with a score which is going to be summed or subtracted in this area. Now, if you are new into the grand strategy genre, you are going to be asking yourself, what the hell are those numbers? If you are not, it is going to be much more easy for you to understand what do we see up in here. But for those that are new, the first and most important thing here is that in most of the grand strategy titles that you are going to see in the market, the first thing that you're going to be presented here is with the resources of the countries. Especially when you are a country, you have at your disposal money and resources. In here we can see the money, which is pretty self-explanatory with the image of coins. Over here we have what is called here in Realpolitiks the action points. And actually, if you hover here, you're going to see the name appearing over there. Action points are especially the administrative capacity of your country. In other words, the action points are exactly all the things that the government can't do in order to achieve whatever they want to achieve. So if you have played, for example, the Paradox Interactive Grand Strategy titles, you would imagine here that the AP, which is the abbreviation for action points, is going to be administrative capacity of the government in question. Over here we have 3 different resources that are the vital resources of Realpolitiks. Here we have an image of an iron, piece of iron. These are metals. Over here we have fuels. And over here we have rare earth elements. So these are the 3 resources that are available to us. By that, it means that you are able to exchange these 3 elements, these 3 resources, in order to achieve your goals. Each of these are used for different situations, and of course, you will need to pay upkeep, which is a word that you're going to see very often in these type of titles. Let's leave the metals, the oil, the fuels, and the rare earth materials a little bit in the side. Over here, we have the GDP growth, which is the gross domestic product of the country, which is going to be something very important for the economics of every single country, especially for countries after the Industrial Revolution. Over here we have what is called here the HDI. The HDI is, in some way, the amount of academic intelligence that your population has, so to speak. If you have ever played before some other titles, especially a title that has a lot of emphasis in this regard, Wiki 2, then in Wiki 2, this thing here is going to be called consciousness. The more advanced your society is, the more HDI it gets. Over here we have what is called the manpower, which is another asset that is completely and very important in a grand strategy title. Money and manpower are relative within each other. You cannot have power without money, and you cannot get power without manpower. Manpower is the amount of people that will serve in your armies, so is the able people that can fight for your country. The missile count. If you are a superpower, you will have missiles counting in here. So here, you're going to see numbers if you are superpowers such as Japan, Russia, China, or the United States. In here you can pause, you can play, and you can make faster the pass of the time. Here you see a calendar Now let's continue with the menu. In the menu we have save game. If you so wish, you can load a previous game. You can go to settings. In settings, you're going to be presented with audio, in which you can decrease the master volume, the sound volume, and the music volume. You can go to graphics and you're going to see screen resolution. You're going to see a check mark for full screen. You can disable or enable VSync, target frame rate, the anti-aliasing, the textures quality that can go very, very high, but high is pretty much enough. War theater resolution, then you have high. Then in details, you can add clouds. That is going to use a lot of processing power, so I would clearly advise not to check these. Trees, buildings, airplanes, and ships that are going to be shown on the actual map. If I go and apply clouds, you're going to see over here how the clouds are now presented in the map. Obviously, the clouds look very nice, and you can zoom in, zoom out. It's very intensive on your GPU. So let's go again to here, graphics, and let's disable the clouds. In other, you have language, tooltip font size. You can increase the font size of the tooltip, which I think is going to be very useful. Camera sensitivity and autosave interval, which I disable. You can obviously change this to every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, and every hour. If I apply and we see the tooltip that is now bigger, we can see the names of the things here much more bigger, which I think is going to be very useful for us. Continuing here, we can see the notifications. There are 3 stages for notifications: the one that is collapsed, the one that is shown, and the one that is extended in a top bar like this. If you have this option, you can also click here and you're going to see different sections for the actual situations. If you collapse the actual notifications, you're going to see a number here, which is going to tell you how many notifications are in this section. Over here, we can see that there are notifications in unused projects, which we have 2 slots. We have empty spy slots, which we have 5. We have also empty general slots, and we have also colonization projects available, which are going to be shown up in here. Then we have high unemployment, which is something that we need to address if you want to have a healthy economy.